Hi everybody, it's Rush at My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. Obviously, new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you're made aware anytime we put new content on. Obviously, we have videos going up daily, sometimes 2-3 times a day, and every guest is amazing. So I wouldn't want you to miss any content. So please make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss anything. We've got guests all over the world, from different ages, experienced, not so experienced guests, and today's guest is no exception. It's Michelle Gabriel. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Oh, Russ, I'm good, thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me.
It's an absolute pleasure. How is, it's the same question everyone says, how's lockdown treating you?
Well, the Barnet hasn't done too well.
I can't speak. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I survived. I'm still here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, we're on the countdown now to football back on. So I think, things are starting to look a bit more rosier, so to speak, in relation to where we were sort of, 3 months ago. I mean, it's crazy how quickly it's all gone. I sat down to, and I thought, how long have I worked from home? And it's been like 10 weeks or something, 11 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's almost like 11 or 12 weeks since I last touched another person or, within 2 meters of another person.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems funny. It seems almost like because we can't communicate people, we try more. So it's like there seems to be more Zoom calls, and I've never. I mean, my mates, my old schoolmates, we probably see each other once every 6 months if we're lucky. We must be on every other week. We're having a quiz or a chat, and it's so it actually is bringing people together in a weird way, and it's lovely.
Yeah. It's something I wouldn't want to drop now.
No, I think it's something which, as you said, which people are just seem to be really embracing. And it's like, it's my mother-in-law, for example, I talk about all the time on the channel. I've had to teach her how to use FaceTime and WhatsApp and stuff like that. And it seems it's forced your hand, isn't it, in terms of some people to having to adopt technology and stuff. And it works. It does work. As you said, otherwise it would be, could you imagine where we would be if it was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
10, I worked in IT.
Yeah.
And kind of semi-retired a few years ago. But at that stage, video conferencing was so naff.
Yeah.
It was really terrible. It's so improved with these apps that we just have free on our phones and stuff.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
This lockdown had occurred 5 years ago, it wouldn't have been nearly.
Well, exactly. You wouldn't have. I mean, my wife wouldn't have Netflix. She wouldn't have had a. It's like, you'd have on your phone. You'd only have Snake on a Nokia 3310. You wouldn't be able to text anyone. It'd be a nightmare, absolute nightmare. But obviously, it's given everyone a time to sort of reflect on stuff. And I think not having football is quite nice because football is. The rate of change happens so quickly, doesn't it? Players come and go so quickly, it seems nowadays. And we're going to have loads of games coming very, very quickly, so we're going to have to get used to it again. But obviously, it's the idea of the channel to go back and be nostalgic and talk to fans and some players as well about their memories of the club. Now, for you, Michelle, I was recommended you by several people in the West Ham fan fraternity, we'll call it. So. How did it start for you? Why West Ham? What was your story?
Well, I'm an East Ender. I'm from an East End family. I think I'm already third generation, and I'm not very young, so that gives you something. My dad was West Ham completely. He was born in Canning Town. He had 2 brothers, and they were both West Ham. One of them, Jack Rapport, he trialled for West Ham. Apparently, he died before I was born, but he was the golden boy of the family, and he trialled for West Ham, and apparently turned them down because he could earn more in a clerical job. But he was a very good sportsman. So I was born in this West Ham family, and kind of around 64, 65, 66, I started getting obviously kind of very excited about football.
Yes.
As you kind of would. Now, I know some women my age who did go to West Ham with their fathers
Mm.
or with their parents. But my dad, I don't remember him ever taking me to the ground.
Mm.
I don't remember him ever saying, "Oh, girls can't go," but he took Steve, my brother,
Yeah.
when he was probably 7 or something. But I started to go with Steve when I was about 11 or 12. So I don't remember the first game we went to, but I remember going with Steve. We lived in Ilford. We got the 147 bus down to Romford Road.
Yeah.
I think we walked down probably Catherine Road, one of those wives of Henry VIII.
Yeah.
The one with the tree ball factory in it. If you remember that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember of it. I wasn't there, but I remember of it, yeah.
And walked the ground. We probably had sandwiches, great big doorsteps that my mum had done. We went in the boys' entrance in the South Bank because that was a bit less kind of tasty than the North Bank or anywhere else. So you could just pay with pocket money. And I remember it being 3 shillings when I started going. That's kind of what I remember, but maybe I got the price wrong. All these peanut vendors in the street, ticket touts, which obviously just went on, marching bands in the ground. And one of the things, and it relates to the theme I've got for my players, but bubbles in those days used to be played in waltz time because the original waltz. And now sometimes we sing it in waltz time, but mostly in the ground it's played in 4/4 time. So it's kind of different. But I do like it. I don't really like the song at all, if I'm honest.
I know, it's just so it's you think about it. I was talking to a former player yesterday, and we was talking about, he's like, but we're used to not doing well. And I was like, well, we have this sort of defeatist attitude already, don't we? In that our rousing song is about things dying. It's like
fading and dying. That's exactly what happens. We fade and die. Why can't we have "You'll Never Walk Alone"? Walk on, open your heart. And that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And ours is kind of like all chromatic. Everybody sings it wrong.
Exactly. And it's like
people sing in the ground, they change key partway through. I can't do it.
Yeah, and then I mean it's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, we're on preparation now for when we open. Well, we say not open, but before the Premier League's back on. And one thing we're trying to do is we have to obviously play bubbles when the players come out, and it's probably not going to have the same impact on 1975 FA Cup version in an empty stadium. It's probably not going to work, and so we're trying to see if we're going to try and get loads of fans to do it, and do some sort of not voice of the choir of 1,000 voices, but that type of thing. So it's a bit more atmospheric, you know what I mean? And but I know what you mean. I know what you mean about how everyone sings out of key, and it's just I think we should get what's name Gareth in, shouldn't we, from from BBC to get everyone's at least on the same pitch, so it makes it a bit more.
Keeping the same key all the way through, that would so help.
I'll have a word with Gareth Malone and see what we can do. But no, it's and you're right. It's amazing. It's all about, and that's what comes through. Talking to a lot of fans, it's not the games they remember, and the some people remember the first game, but as you said, it's you and Steve around, getting the bus, 147, walking down with us, and it's the peanut sellers and the marching band. The football is almost secondary, isn't it? And that's what comes across.
Kind of is, and I still find, sometimes I blog or I write on social media, and I have got a lot of West Ham friends who are in different parts of the world, partly because Steve started a mailing list about 30 years ago, and there are people in Canada and Australia and New Zealand, and if you write, they can probably see the game, they can probably see it in more detail than you can if you go to it. I don't really like watching games on TV. I like going live to games. But the whole experience, the bus, whether you can get a cup of tea at a stall and whether you can get a lid for your tea so you don't kind of burn your hands, and spill the stuff, and things that people say to you. And you know, things people sing in the crowd, and you know, whether you can get some chips and which pub you're doing, all that stuff. People really like that because they don't get that atmosphere at all. They don't get any of that when they just watch a sterile thing on TV.
Yeah, no, I understand definitely, and yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I still remember the smells of whatever meat was being cooked along Green Street, and you can't replicate that walking through Westfield. And I wouldn't want to be honest, because I wouldn't know what meat it was. But yeah, I know what you mean. And I think whatever happens in the next 9 games, I think it is what it is. But it's about getting back together, isn't it? It's about, you know, I've spoken to people. Who was it? Who did I speak to? I can't remember now. Mark Sandell, that's it. And he all his mates that he sits around are having a Zoom party. So they're going to have it on telly, and they're all going to be on their computers, obviously moaning at what's going on, having a half-time analysis and a pint, you know. And that's just so West Ham, isn't it? It's like, still that togetherness. And I think that's what people miss more than anything. So
sort of laughing, crying, hugging, saying ridiculous things.
Exactly. And it's people you might not, you know, obviously people you might not necessarily have associated if they weren't West Ham fans, but because they're West Ham fans, you have this sort of this connection, and that's what I've got more out of this than anything else. Is, you know, I've got some great friends I've made in the last 3 or 4 weeks who I know I'm going to stay in touch with. Do you know what I mean? So, like we had who you had the other day from New York, David Houtswig, and he is absolutely mental. But I think it's brilliant. And German Holt from the Scandinavian Hammers, absolutely brilliant, but absolutely mental. And it's so nice. It's so nice. So obviously, you know, from sort of, when you went with Steve, sort of 70s roughly onwards, there must have been lots of highlights that you can think of, lots of things in your maybe sort of memories, you know, fond memories of West Ham and stuff. You know, what were some of them, Michelle? It's always good to categorise them.
Well, the first game I remember, I'm not sure it was the first one I went to, but we were playing Sunderland. It was 1968. Steve and I went in the boys' entrance. I really don't remember other women being there, or girls, and I don't remember even a ladies' loo or anything. So I just don't think it was kind of like expected. But anyway, we're behind the goal, South Bank. We're a bit to the left of the goal. And Jeff Hurst, have to say, and he admitted afterwards, sort of helped it in with his hand, first goal. But it went uphill from there because we won 8-0. And Jeff Hurst, and at half-time, he'd scored 3, and I think Bobby had scored the other one, which was this floating free kick, as I remember it. Beautiful free kick. And at half-time, Steve said, well, you know, it would be really good if he scored another hat-trick in the second half. He did.
He did.
And a young Trevor scored as well, a very young Trevor. And so that was obviously a highlight. And I think Sunderland hadn't been doing badly in the league, but seriously, it looked like we were playing a Subbuteo team. It was just like, oh yeah, let's have another goal. And so that was quite a good memory. At my school, around about the age of 12, 13, one of the teachers started a computer club, and the computer was actually like valve based and filled almost all of Walthamstow Town Hall. But we used to, you know, write programs for this thing and do them on punch cards. And I was trying to predict football results. So football, you know, was instantly a big part of my life, together with other interests like computing and making stuff and this stuff. So I discovered that I couldn't discover an algorithm to help me predict football results. So I think that was a result in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
But then obviously, you know, it just went on. Cup final 1980, I didn't live in London by then, but I came across, or somebody came across me, one of my old schoolmates, it's called John Widowson. So if he's watching this, I still have to thank you, John, for giving me 2 tickets to the cup final.
Wow.
Steve got a ticket, but my late sister and I went with these 2 tickets that John gave me. And what a day. What a day that was. That was brilliant. And I, over the years, obviously, some brilliant games. I remember the Liam Brady one, Liam Brady's last ever kick of a football, where he scored in that game against Wolves. And it was just incredible because he came on roughly the 89th minute or something and just scored a proper goal. And then the game ended a bit prematurely because of the pitch invasion. And that is one of the kind of like benign things that I remember, because in that days there was always a pitch invasion last home game of the season, if it was like the last day of the season. So you kind of had this excitement building up to the pitch invasion. And, so it, the pitch invasion was completely friendly, but it must have been a bit scary being Liam Brady disappearing in the middle of all the And that was a good one, I think. More recently, there's a few. We played Spurs in 2006, a week before the cup final. You'll know which one this was. Last game of the season, Spurs try and get it called off. Claiming
it was mental. I remember that.
Or we had poisoned them. And that was such a good atmosphere. That was hilarious. Toilet was being thrown onto the pitch, and the lasagna gates on, all that. Well, the following week we all drove in my car. I drove to. We stayed in Bristol overnight, but we were going to the cup final, and we went down to the ground first of all to buy stuff to decorate the car with. So we had flags and scarves and everything, and then we kind of like processed in a car of one, in one car through London. So up Green Street, Rumford Road, and everything. So then we're doing a bit of Hackney. And there start to be Arsenal fans, so they're all cheering us, and Chelsea, as we get to West London, they're cheering us. Brilliant!
That's so funny.
That's good.
That's crazy.
I put down a few mad home games. One was against Burnley, in about 2009. We used to stand in Chav Corner, North Corner. And so, we're winning 5-0 against Burnley. Burnley are going to get relegated, I think, and we're not. And, we could score 8, we could go up to 8, and then all of a sudden something happened, like this ghostly chill across the ground. And they scored 3 goals very quickly.
They did,
If the game had gone on another few minutes, we'd have lost that game. Only Sam could do that. How does it even...
I don't know. I remember that. I think Chris Woods might have scored a cut. I remember that really, because Burnley. I've got friends who are Burnley fans, so the Burnley games always stick in my mind. I remember that one. Yeah, it was squeaky bum time, wasn't it? 5-0 up and squeaky bum time. It's the West Ham way.
And then last year we're playing Huddersfield at home. They're bottom of the league. They're going to go down. They haven't scored 3 goals in the whole season practically, at least since Christmas. And they're 3-1 up against us, 3-2. So I'm in the equivalent of Chav Corner in the new ground. And actually quite a few of the people who were in our row or nearby are in our row now.
Lovely.
Absolutely fantastic. So the guy behind me, he starts singing, "We're going to win 4-3. In your dreams. We did. We won 3, and I think we scored 3 goals in next to no time.
It was really quick, wasn't it? Quick successions. But I love stuff like that. As you said, it's not the most, it's not obvious games that stick in your mind, but for both reasons, they're just so like epitomising West Ham, and that's why we support them, isn't it? It's entertaining, it's like even at 5-0, you still he's still worried in case we're not going to get a result.
Yeah,
Absolutely brilliant.
You know, I've been to a lot of away games as well. I love going to away
Yeah.
games. So Burnley is one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm soppy about claret and blue, as you can see. But they're claret and blue, obviously.
Yeah.
Away fans, you know, kind of install themselves at the cricket ground, which is next door.
They do, yeah.
Blue. So 2 or 3 years ago, there was last game of the season we're playing there. And there's actually a cricket match going on. It's a Sunday. And as each batsman got out, some of our fans started singing, "Oh, fucking shit." Cheerio, cheerio, cheerio.
Oh, I love it. And I love going to Burnley. I used to love going to Burnley when we had Sam as manager, because obviously they hated Allardyce with a passion, and he knew it. And like I always remember, because obviously Burnley have to walk across the pitch, don't you, to get to the dugout. And all the team had gone out, and like 20, 30 paces was Sam on his own, just walking out like so slowly, and he just loved it. No, Burnley was always fun. Always a good game.
Yeah, another really good game was when we were in the Championship against Barnsley. And we were winning 4-0. It's a lovely sunny day. And we had practically all of the second half with Rob Green in front of us, just singing "We're All Dreaming of a Team of Robert Greens," doing rival congas, and singing Sam Allardyce, you know, "We're all deluded and we talk bollocks," because that's what he'd said in an interview about fans wanting West Ham style play. Oh yeah, there were some of the good games. Unfortunately, I was at Wigan. We lost 3-2, and that's another West Ham one. You know, pub before the game, we're all rocking and we're all knowing we're going to get relegated, and then we're 2-0 up at half time, and it is literally the hope that kills you. How can we be 2-0 up at half time and then 3-2 down at the end with that bloody aeroplane? Abraham Grant, Millwall legend, I think it said.
But that's it, and it's like even stuff like that. You know, we give as good as we get. You know, we give it out. We got to get it, and obviously that was just funny. That was fun. You know, you just had to give them credit for that, and so
I think you can kind of forgive a lot of bad results at away games. And there was one that I went to with my son, and it was Man U weekday match. We're 3-0 down. Tuesday night, cold, you know, Rooney's having a good game, unfortunately for us. And someone starts going, "Let's pretend we scored a goal." So we actually went through the whole thing of let's pretend we scored a goal, then cheering and celebrating, and then like 1-3 to the Cockney boys, 2-3, you know, etc. So we got up to the Cockney boys. So in our dreams, we were winning 5-3. And then someone started 3-0 and you fucked it up. At which point the Man U fans started applauding us. What happened on the pitch?
I love those ones. It's like I love chants where there's been real thought in it. So I always remember when Neil Warnock, when Colin came down and he was Cardiff manager, and there was a massive chant, "There's only one Carlos Tevez." And it's like, that's brilliant, because that's like 2 clubs removed and like 10 years, it's still there, and I love it.
I'm going to forget. No.
That's brilliant. No, I'd love. I said, it's like, who comes up with some of these chants? You know, like even with some of the players. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, the Payet song or the Di Canio song. There must be a WhatsApp group I'm not part of, and it must be. But most of them come from Chav Corner, though. Chav Corner's quite a good.
Chav Corner. Well, in fact, that will lead on to my theme.
Good. Okay. Let's start with your theme then, Michelle. Go on. Let's crack on. Let's go to your theme of your team.
My theme is players with memorable songs.
Nice. I like it.
It seems to be original. So.
That is a good idea. Yeah. Chants and memorable songs and things like that. I like stuff like that. Who's going to go in goal then, Michelle?
It has to be the big boy, because he's got the most memorable song.
Yeah.
That is Ludek Mikowski, obviously. comes from near Moscow.
Yes.
And I think he and we were probably surprised at just how much we loved him and how well he kind of became our goalie, how trustworthy he was, how, you know, what an athlete, what a really, really good guy to have in goal.
Yeah.
And a kind of club legend. He's definitely become
Oh,
that.
definitely.
And the absolute nutsness of the song. My name is Ludek Miklosko. I come from near Moscow.
He don't. He says this every time you talk to him about it. I don't come near Moscow. But I think Tony, or maybe Tony Gower, he was talking about that, and he went, "Well, it wouldn't really work, you know. I'm Ludek Miklosko. I come from near Prague." Like, it doesn't work. Doesn't work, Tony.
Somebody does that, and I still don't know how the songs start. I'd love to really understand it, because it's kind of like a whole piece of folk music.
Yeah.
It is folk music. Fan chanting is folk music, but how does it start? Who has that brain to do it? And actually, when I get to one of the other players, we'll get to a kind of broken rhyme where they try and make a rhyme and it doesn't work.
They're the best ones. They're the best ones where it doesn't work. And when we get to that one, I've got some great stories from when I went to, I think it was Liverpool away many, many years ago. I think we drew 2-2. We had Gavin Hooligan playing up front for us at the time, and this guy was trying to start a chant. We'll talk about it later. All right, okay, let's put Ludo in. Then Michelle, let's go left back. Who have we got left back for you?
Okay, well, I've got the magic guy, Aaron Cresswell.
Yeah.
Because he's magic and he wears a magic hat.
He does.
And play for Ipswich. I really like him as a player. I know he does get some stick, but I really, really like him. And I think the last few months, everybody's kind of fallen back in love with him. He's very, he's very kind of agile. He's a little bit little for a fullback, but actually when we play, 5 at the back, he's superb. He's very, very good.
And he's unfortunate. He's unfortunate as well for who he's preceded, so to speak, in left back position, because you've got like Frank Lampard Senior and Julian Dix. So it's two of the biggest. So he's always going to be a slight disadvantage. But I agree. I think and after Mark, he's probably our oldest serving player in the current squad.
And
yeah.
Really
he's been there a while. I mean, we'll put Cress in. And he's got a lovely beard at the moment. They've all got lovely haircuts and beards.
I think some of them look better with their lockdown hair. Yeah, I definitely think Declan Rice does.
Yeah, sort of sweet, sort of Steve Pox-esque, Yeah.
But Cresswell, he's very, very good at set pieces, and he's very good at.
And we haven't got one, have we?
And I like that kind of, agile wing back who can pass the ball in.
And he seems to have, there was a little lull in his career, I think it's fair to say, at West Ham, and he seems to have sort of the last couple of season and a half definitely has seemed to sort of come back into the play. It was so exciting when we signed him from Ipswich, wasn't he? He was so exciting.
Very, very good. Yeah.
And it's all confidence and managers and put him in the same position, isn't it? I mean, I'm just checking now. He signed at the club in 2014. So 6 years. You don't get that anymore now.
No, not at all.
So
I think he's an adopted Hammer.
Yeah, it's good shit. Okay, let's put Aaron in. Let's go for right back then, Michelle. Who have we got right back?
Well, I've got someone a bit different from Aaron Cresswell. This is a guy who was with us about 5 years. I think never learned to speak English. He then decided to leave so he could go back home to near Moscow, you might say, and he was sent off on his debut for 2 yellow cards.
Yeah,
missed one game through suspension. Got a red card in his next
one.
Yep.
Yeah, good old Tommy Repka.
He's one of those kind of hard men that they're kind of assets for club, but actually, I tend to not. I like defenders who play football rather than bite people's legs, to be honest. But his last game at home,
Yes,
I think we played Fulham, and we won 2-1. And I remember Ferdinand scoring a volley, Anton. Pretty sure that happened. And
so.
It was Thomas Repka's last game. Near the end of the game, fans very slowly started this swell of Super Tom. Super Tom. And I'm not sure he'd ever been sung to before, but he kind of got the gist of this.
Yeah.
And he was in tears. And
he was, crying his eyes out.
It was really, really emotional because it turned out we actually meant quite a lot to him. So
well, he was a record signing at the time, wasn't he? From we got from Florentino or something like that. Yeah, he was a record signing for us, and I liked. I mean, it's a changing of the guard, so to speak, in terms of football now. You don't get the bite your legs defenders like Thomas was, Neil Ruddock. There was sort of a period where they were all bite your legs, and then they started with Slav. It's a bit more ball playing. Rio obviously was around, and then it's now Issa and Bonner, and they're more sort of your more conventional modern day centre backs now.
Yeah, and some of them can be very tough, as one of my centre backs is, but still, not dirty, not getting sent off every other game.
No, I get you. Right, we'll put Tommy Repka in. Okay, let's go for one. Who's your first centre back then, Michelle?
Right. My first centre back is the one and only James Collins, because of being called Ginger Pele.
Yeah.
He was a really, really great favourite down at Chaff Corner.
Well, he kept on jumping in, didn't he? He was always over there at the end of the game, wasn't he? To be at London Stadium, particularly.
He used to join in the song, when it went into "We've Got Pele," the Ginger Pele. I just don't think you understand. He would join in, and then one day someone started going, the subs used to come and warm up at our end. So there was a lot of sub abuse, like of opposition subs. You're not playing because you're shit. And but somebody started singing to Ginge. He's warming up. You're not Ginger anymore. His response was to look in his shorts and go.
Oh, I love him. That's brilliant.
At Chaff Corner, that was a very special part of the ground.
Yeah.
So I really like James Collins, and in fact, I've got him on my T-shirt, as you can see.
Wow, there you go.
Which was a gift from one of my lovely Hammers friends. He's called Gary Stewart, Gary North, as we call him. And James Collins. He was a very effective centre back. Not dirty, not a kind of like ball to feet player like Rio or even Winston Reid, but he would defend with his whole body. He would defend with his heart and soul and body. Everything would literally go on that line. I loved that, and I did once win a trip around the new stadium by coming first in a pub quiz, Pride of Irons pub quiz.
Yep.
With some very illustrious people. Been on this, and we went on this stadium tour, and there, sort of at the end of the tunnel, was this picture of James Collins. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah.
Mode with mud spraying everywhere, and him like that, and it's just that's how he was for me.
It's true.
Everything was there.
Yeah, and I think even more so his second period at West Ham. His first team period, but I remember him more from his second period. And you're right, he was particularly the last sort of season. That season, that sort of last couple of seasons. Every time he played, you knew that he was going to like go right to the end, and he was going to put his body on line. And obviously, the adopted Chav Corner in London Stadium, he after the game, he was always over there, wasn't he, handing his shirt over and stuff, particularly in the last season.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
He's a great guy. I love him.
Yeah. Okay. Who's going to be next?
Well, my next centre back is what you might call a very unlikely cult hero from Scotland.
Yeah.
And the chant is hilarious, but a bit wrong.
Yes, exactly. When you're pimping out your wife. Yes.
Oh, Christian Daly. Yeah. Which pimping out your wife, incidentally, is something that Thomas Repka's been.
He's been since retiring from the game, allegedly. Yes.
Well, he was convicted. So
yes.
I think we can.
Well, yeah, and also he try and sell a hired car as well, or something like that.
Yeah, various frauds, but also kind of like really not very nice things. So Christian Daly isn't that sort of guy. He's a nice guy, and I've seen interviews where he said, well, I'm flattered by the song and it's very funny, but actually I'm a family man.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. But the song's just brilliant, and I like Christian Daly because whatever he had, apart from that notorious Scotland interview.
Yes.
Say in a minute. But he kind of acted like a professional. He didn't do stupid things and get himself sent off. He wasn't kind of a nutcase. He was just an athletic sort of person who wasn't the best Scottish player ever. But
no, I know what you mean, and he
gave his best.
He did, and I remember obviously the playoffs. I remember that sort of Church Willian speech he gave on the pitch after the Ipswich game. We'll beat him on the beaches type speech, like very Braveheart for Royce. But no, I know what you mean. He was actually, I thought he was an underrated captain. We haven't had in the modern day we've had a few good captains, and I don't think he got enough credit for being a good captain, because he was like an old school centre back captain. Usually they're midfield, aren't they now, and stuff like that. But he was sort of the old school. No, I liked him.
Leading by example.
Yeah.
Really, but not really stupidly brave.
No, yeah.
But just a really good guy to have.
Yeah, and obviously he had lovely hair as well.
He did. Lovely curly hair.
Lovely curly hair, apparently. Right, okay, that's the defence. Let's go into midfield then, Michelle. Let's go left midfield. Who do you have left midfield?
Right. Well, the one and only guy that I can remember in recent years with a totally unique song, and the best player that we've had since Di Canio, in my view.
Yeah.
Dimitri Payet. It's almost impossible to describe this guy. I did that summer 2015 when Bilic came. I went to pretty well all of the pre-season friendlies that were still around Essex in those days, thank God. And there was one in Southend early on, and that was the one where Payet made his debut. And I blogged a little bit and wrote, I've just seen the real deal. This guy is really something, because I think he probably scored a couple and made one. And something
Yeah.
And you could see, just on the ball, he could make, well, him and Lanzini especially, but, he could make like Man U defenders look like clumsy schoolboys.
And there was nothing of him, was there, really? It was not like he was particularly quick. Little stumpy bloke, weren't he? But he just had these feet.
Yeah, but also sometimes that, like, Messi or Maradona, the lower centre of gravity actually really helps with balance, isn't it? But he was awesome. Those free kicks, following him around, one at Blackburn, one at Man U, one at Palace at home. They were works of art. Those curves, those trajectories. It was such a dream of a season. It was absolutely beautiful.
It was. And the stars aligned for that season, wasn't it? It just everything, not much goes in the modern West Ham particularly, not much goes right. But that season just went right, even to the last game of the season. It was just, if you could write it, as a screenplay, obviously you had that time, where all the, where we've gone down, obviously we lost to Swansea, didn't we, 4-0, and it's like, oh God.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
come back triumphant. When
Yeah.
it really mattered. It was like
Yeah.
the perfect story.
It was a brilliant season, and a gift to us, if you like. It's just like from heaven, from somewhere. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'm glad for the memories. I'm just sorry it ended so badly.
Well, as I said to someone before, he put Pyatt in. He joined us in the same way. And you sort of get that. So obviously those players. You think of Arnautovic and those sort of foreign-based, mercurial talents always come with a bit of baggage. Paolo Di Canio, he'd been suspended for pushing over a referee. We've got form. But yeah, no, it's all he was brilliant. Yeah, and he was brilliant that season. He made that season for us what it was. Yeah, I agree. Okay, we'll put Dimmy in left. Let's go right midfield.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put someone who hasn't got a strong song. It's just his name, Antonio.
Yeah.
But I want to put him in because I love him. He is such a good team player.
Yes.
And such a, technically very good. He comes from a non-league background. He hasn't been through an academy. I think even now he's still a bit of a handful for defensive.
Oh, definitely. Even more so, I think this season was probably back. It seemed like he recovered from injury. He seemed much more fitter. He seemed much more mobile. And I think this season when he plays, he's got the bit between his teeth. He is unstoppable. Unstoppable.
He's an awesome player. And I think he's the opposite of lazy. And I think sometimes that's been to his and our detriment. So I don't think, I did love Bilic as our manager, but I think he was found out, even before the end of that season.
Yes.
Just wasn't strong enough and wanted to be the nice guy, maybe.
Yeah.
But one of the things that happened was him asking Antonio to play right back.
Yeah.
And what Antonio actually did was cover both positions. He was still playing the wing as well.
Yeah. And
just before that happened, he was pretty well, he'd kind of got up to speed and he was looking at an average of almost a goal a game,
Yeah.
He was doing so well. And then he just broke himself or, got broken by having a phenomenal work rate anyway, but then playing two positions. Then he started to get injured and, it kind of went into quite a lull.
Yes. No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Kind of reliably fit. But I kind of felt as a fan that was the club, in particular the manager who asked that of him. They that was hard and a bit sad, really.
It was. It was almost
the following season. They didn't appoint another right back. They didn't bring one in.
No, you're right.
It was like
it's like he had his wings clipped. Do you know what I mean? And it's and we're seeing sort of until obviously everything stops, and hopefully we'll see it again in a couple of 10 days or so time. But he's particularly when he then pushed him more in attack, him and Haller, and Haller when they were, everyone was crying out for Haller to have a strike partner, and with Antonio, it seemed to start. The wheels were starting to turn. Yeah, I hope that maintains, but it's. So I think both of them scored against QPR the other day. Yes. So I love Antonio, and as I said, he's one of those players. There's very few players at the moment where when he gets the ball, there's anticipation, isn't there? That he's going to just absolutely just knock it past the fullback and just. And even if it's a ball like 20 yards away, you think you still got the fullback's number, and that pace is something which I think, not just for him, I think it's something which across Premier League you don't get those out and out speedsters. There's a few. Traore for Wolves, for example, similar player.
yeah.
quick as anything. But
But also, the strength, the kind of
yes,
power.
oh, he's a muscle. Yeah,
He's not flimsy.
no.
He's kind of the opposite.
It's true. I mean, you look at someone like, I don't know, Matty Etherington. He was rapid,
Yeah,
but
great.
the wind could blow him over. Whereas
Yeah.
Antonio is just a unit. He must be so intimidating for the fullback because he's quick and he's going to bulldoze you past you, and that's what you need, I think, particularly now in sort of the situation we're in. These sort of not flimsy players, people are going to go up and bulldoze their way through. Okay, we'll put Mikel in. Okay, let's go central midfield. Who's your first centre midfield?
Well, this one, I'm going to put him because I actually kind of don't really like the song, but this guy definitely has a memorable song. This is Frank Lampard Jr.
Yep.
And the song probably makes it down the Trevor or down Chav Corner.
Yeah.
And the best thing I can say about the song, the most complimentary, is how they managed to count to 10 with that much alcohol consumed is quite a thing. I just think it's really sad how that all worked out because his dad for me was the real Frank Lampard.
Yeah,
the one I'm talking about now is Frank Lampard Jr. But they were West Ham. There was only one club in their lives, that was West Ham. So, as EastEnders would say, they're family.
Yeah.
And it's just really sad that it's ended that way, that it went that way. I think looking at old vids, for example, that game against Bradford.
Yes.
Fighting with Di Canio. You can see he was carrying a bit of weight and maybe not trying his best, but he is probably one of the best English players. Well, it definitely is of the last 20 or 30 years. I would almost put him top. He was an awesome player, such a skilled player. And, I think, yes, he underachieved a little bit.
Yeah.
West Ham. But I'm kind of sad about the way it turned out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's I mean, West Ham fans do have some sort of a reputation for holding a grudge. We'll say it being nicely, and you're right. But he in that period when he was playing with us, all those players, I think we underachieved as a club. Clearly they were all went on to be England internationals, and and the career he had, and obviously Rios and Joes and Carricks, and it was probably the most exciting time that I remember in my modern football, because it was Harry and Bradford City 5-4. It's like
that happened.
And it happened more often than not. It's not like it was a rare occurrence for us. But no, I mean Frank's one of those people who is, we've spoken to other fans who put Frank in their team, Frank Jr. in their team, and he still has as a part of his heart, which is still West Ham, for what anyone believes. But that's what he says, and he still looks out for the West Ham games, and because you never lose that. And football's a funny old game, isn't it? I remember John Terry getting a clap at the testimonial, and it's like, hello, you know what I mean?
So, that and Lampard Jr. did turn up with Joe Cole and John Terry for that photo. Chelsea wouldn't let them touch the ball, would they?
No, we know that, famously, but
they at least they turned up. And
of course they did. No, exactly. We'll put Frank in, and again, one of those things where you say you're surprised that the fans could count to 10. The fans weren't as svelte as Frank was, were they? To be honest, it's like
no, but it is fun. Yeah,
it is funny.
That was fun.
Yeah, I'll put Frank in. Okay, who's Frank going to partner then in midfield then, Michelle?
Right. Well, this is the guy who had the failed rhyme. This is the guy who came from Canning Town, and then the rhyme stopped because nothing rhymes with Canning Town. This is Mark Noble.
Yeah.
So in the end, Chav Corner worked out, you know, he wears a claret blue, he's West Ham through and through. And that's fine. But they did have quite an abortive time. I think it was quite a while of getting as far as he comes from Canning Town and then not sure
noble.
So, now this guy, I think along with Antonio, I think he's technically very good and quite underrated sometimes. He's, you know, he's a good tackler. He can, you know, well, as long as he doesn't do it just beyond kind of the penalty spot and give away a direct free kick. You know?
Yes.
But you know, he can tackle really well. He is capable of doing some very good passing. And for all that people say, oh, he's lost his speed and blah blah blah, and yeah, he's getting a bit older, but he's a very good leader.
Oh yeah.
Always much better when he's on the pitch.
Totally.
He is the man. He's a wonderful captain, and I really like him. And I also like having, you know, a top-notch penalty taker.
Yeah.
Somebody who, you know, I'm touching wood here, almost never misses one. You know, I remember Ray Stewart and the days when, okay, Ray's here, that's fine, we've scored.
Yeah.
And Di Canio as well. But Noble, I think I would put him pretty well up there with those guys.
No, I agree. And it's that sort of, as you said, there's a nervousness. Where if there was a penalty, like in the sort of the modern era, and Mark's not on the pitch, the first question is who's going to take it. Whereas if you know he's playing, penalty, Mark's going to take it. It's probably going to go in. You know, there's a reassurance there. And I think actually his, you know, I know people were saying that his legs were gone. That, you know, I reckon the last 18 months since Moyes has come in, definitely, but even before that, you know, with the emergence of Declan Rice, he's become a new player. It's almost like a newfound, you know, under Slav, 60 minutes he was off, you know, 60-minute mark basically. Where now he's played 90 minutes, he looks as fit as ever. He's one of those players who's going to stay around, you know, the club hopefully forever. I was talking to Kevin Keane on his interview, and he's trying, because Mark's apparently a very good coach with the youths, and he's trying to keep him, you know, into that. But at the moment, he's too interested in playing, which is fair enough. But
so I really love Mark.
Yeah. He's my modern day Billy Bonds, because I wasn't around to see Billy play. Obviously, I was around when he was a manager, but you know, he is one of a very small, you know, breed of players who are, you know, one club men in the modern game. You know,
and because it's one club and it happens to be West Ham, it's nuts. You know, I mean, which other captain in the Premier League has actually carried a player off the pitch because he was walking off too slowly?
Exactly. They did Hiera in Man United, wasn't it? It's always Man United with us, isn't it? It's always Man United.
The refs go, you know, can we cut him for that? It's only West Ham. It's not.
No, he's brilliant.
Love him.
And he's like, you know, in terms of being a captain, you know, the man looks like a West Ham boy, doesn't he? Like an old school West Ham boy, you know, always like got lovely hair, you know. If you put him in, like, I don't know, a strip from the 70s or the 80s, he wouldn't look out of place. Do you know what I mean? He's just like, I love him.
Yeah.
He's actually brilliant. And long may he continue. Right, okay, let's go up front then, Michelle. Who's your first striker?
Well, he's the one that can put the ball into Rosed. Who else? Bobby Zamora.
Yes, the Z-Man.
Yeah, the Z-Man. So I loved him as a player as well.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And I love this kind of player who, you know, I think probably he underachieved a bit as a striker, let's say. I think when he scored, it was lovely. You know, he scored some really classy goals. I think maybe he didn't score enough of those. But like anyone who was at that game at the Emirates, he scored.
Scored when it mattered, didn't he? Yeah.
Loved him with all my heart forever. And I actually went with my son and daughter. We got Arsenal tickets. And this thing about Arsenal fans, you know, they're tarts, basically. My daughter-in-law's watching. After they took down Highbury, built these flats, some of the flats came with season tickets.
Oh, wow.
So kind of in the mid-noughties, you know, there were always season ticket holders who would just flog their seat.
Crazy.
And so the three of us got Arsenal seats behind that goal. And so he scores, you know, and Arsenal came out. They were, I call it lawn mowing, you know, this kind of incredibly good passing game.
Yes.
A bit like that v Nottingham Forest in 1991 where we lost 4-0 and Tony Gale got sent off. You know, that kind of just unbreakable passing. So Arsenal are mowing the lawn. We're going to get mullered. And, you know, they just weren't striking properly. And Rob Green had the game of his life, absolute top game of his life. And so it's still 0-0. Zamora does this kind of lob just before half time, goes in, and we're, you know, conscious of where we are. So I was next to my son and I was biting his shoulder, so I didn't kind of shout out. And then half time we go and buy cappuccino. You know, we're queuing up for cappuccino, and Tom shows me his hand, and he's got bite marks. You know, so we have our cappuccino, go back in. Second half, you know, Green just holds everything.
Yeah.
He has that game. Towards the end of the game, you know, he's looking for, he's going to do a goal kick out, and we're playing a flat back 10 at that stage. And he's going, you know, he's yelling at them because he's got no one to kick the ball to because they're all too close to him. But how we won that game and how it felt to win that game, that was just incredible. Second half, we discovered that nearly everyone around us was West Ham.
Okay, so everyone else is biting their lip, yeah.
So second half, you know, we didn't feel embarrassed about supporting West Ham. It was just amazing.
Brilliant.
It was a game. So, yeah.
He was a great player. I mean, as I said, I think the season we went up after the playoffs, obviously he scored the playoff as well, but the season we went up, I think he was top goal scorer in the Premier League for about 2 or 3 months. You know, literally he was like, he had the rub of the green. You know, I think Liverpool one came off his arse and, you know, hit a rebound. But yeah, I mean, he'll always be remembered for, you know, obviously helping us go up as well, because that was an amazing day, that one was. But Z-Man, we'll put Bob's in. Good old Bobby. Okay, and who's Bobby going to part? I can probably guess who he's going to partner up front, but who's he going to partner up front?
So the guy who might have the best song of all, Carlton Cole, Always Believe in Your Soul. And I kind of love Carlton. I do love Carlton very much as a person, as a hammer. And sometimes I thought he needed a sat nav. I thought that really might be helpful when he headed the ball the wrong way. You know, it was kind of frustrating as a player. You know, I was there at the game where he came on as a sub and scored within about 12 seconds. His first ever game for West Ham, and you know, he thought, "Oh God, this is exciting. This is fantastic." But I think, you know, he was frustrating a lot of the time. It was sad, but you know, he had us and we had him.
Exactly.
In each other's hearts, he's part of us.
He is, and you're right. I mean, he's one of those players who, God, we love a trier, don't we? We love a trier at West Ham. Yeah, I remember Ian Dowie. You know, we love, you know, because he'd run after a pointless ball, but he would still run. And Carlton was that, but he had those glimpses, weren't there? There's glimpses of. I remember a couple of goals he scored where he was on the volleys and turn. It's like, where's this? Where's this? You know, there's
incredible football. But then sometimes, you know, if he scored, it was with his arse, or you know, it was like, it just was somehow, you know, a bit clumsy, let's say, and a bit fragile as well for all his height.
Yeah.
You know, defenders could kind of blow him over quite easily.
No, I know what you mean. I know what
But,
you mean.
you know, apart from the fact that this is a really good song, I wouldn't put Andy Carroll in my team because I don't think he always tried, and I don't think he was always a team player.
Yeah. Carlton, you always thought would have a go, wouldn't he? He would try, and if it wasn't coming off for him, he'd still be trying. And I think that makes a big difference. You know, some players, if it's not coming off, that's it. They sort of down tools, but he was always running, wasn't he? I think, and again, West Ham fans love a trier. We love somebody who's entertaining us because of the effort they're putting in.
Yeah, and someone who's kind of really responsive to us as well. You know, really gets the fans.
Yeah, and
I think
obviously.
That's really important.
You're totally right, and obviously what he still does for the club, and obviously he does a lot of stuff for the West Ham women's team as well. He turns up and does the fun day. You know, he's just a lovely guy. He's a lovely bloke.
So yeah, he's well deserves that.
Yeah,
place.
and that sort of you know fills the team nicely. I like that, Michelle. It's good. It's a good idea, and I think there's some nice players there as well. And what I quite like as well, there's a lot of modern day players as well. I think you know, and that's nice. You know, particularly you know, I think the type of theme sort of alluded more to that, hasn't it? Because it didn't. I mean, there was some chance of players back in the day, but it seems that maybe the social media world that we live in now gets to share all these. I mean, a chant I love is the Lanzini chant, but he's never fit, so he doesn't play. I think that's a great chant. But yeah, it seems that you know every player has to come with their own chant now, don't they?
Yeah, not all of them get chants, and some of them deserve chants,
Yeah.
but don't have them, I think. So, you know, and some could be cult heroes like Arthur Masuaku.
Yeah.
Better than Lukaku.
Yeah.
You know, could
and that's true. It's like having the sort of having the chant almost gives you that you move into a cult hero status. You know, you know, it's like he's better than Lukaku. Yeah, okay, but yeah, it's sort of like people have that affection of that player already. Yeah, it's like what I can't think of one for Fabianski. You know, it's not the easiest one.
I think we've had super fabs.
Super fabs, and that's like that's sort of standard, isn't it? It's like you know, I remember Robert Green, you know, England number 6, you know, and stuff like that. And
that joke, and he had 6 on his
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And again, he's you know he didn't take himself too.
Yeah, he very nearly got in my team.
Yeah. And we got to put Ludo in. That's still sung today. You know, the impacts of the player is still being sung. You know, 20, 30 years on. Yeah, it's mental. Michelle, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. And I love, like I said before we started the video, I love your decor, the subtle claret and blue hints, the knitting. If anyone's spotted it, Michelle just adjust that just to make it sure a little bit more, you know, patriotic and to frame. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Michelle. It's been great fun.
I breathe West Ham. I knit West Ham. So. That's it.
That's brilliant. And obviously now you've probably got lots of spare time. If you can get the wool in, that's the trouble now, isn't it?
Yeah. Thanks so much, Russ.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. And obviously, thanks everyone for watching. Obviously, like, share, subscribe. As I said before, it's humbling how much everyone is loving the channel and all the support and messages. So keep them coming. You know, it's all about the West Ham family. Until next time, guys, take care, everybody. Stay safe, and be Michelle. Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye. Thank you.